Marvel Snap's newest card is Makkari, and she was met with a resounding meh. So why do I have a 70% win rate with my Makkari deck? Makkari is a 3-cost 4-power card that runs from your hand to a random location at the end of every turn. Now, as far as I can tell, as long as she is in your hand, she will run to the location basically no matter what. Turn 6, she'll run to it. And unfortunately, there are some downsides to this as well. She will run, it seems, after location effects have gone off. I think it might be something to do with reveal order, or maybe she just happens at the end. I know it mattered for me with a Stark Tower, where if she ran to that, she got +2. Stark Tower happened before she ran, but I did draw her that turn. There's some stuff still left to figure out with this card, but basically what's happening is this is a 3/4 that teleports to the board. It is a card you do not draw or really keep in your hand in any real way. Effectively, what you're doing is saying, when I draw this, I am willing to go -1 card in exchange for 4 points. Now, the downside, you don't get to choose where that is. So this can be a 4 points in a lane you don't really need, 4 points in a lane that those points are bad, like Bar with No Name. And generally speaking, most decks are interested in using the cards in their hand rather than just randomly having one of them run onto the board into a potential space throne. So what is it that this card is actually good at? Well, she's free points. So you want to play her in a deck where the only thing that matters is free points. That's how we arrive at this list. The original build was cooked up by Rain Man, a member of my Discord, and actually also of the main Marvel Snap Discord. He's been championing it for about a month now, and has been expecting Makkari to be a big upgrade in it, and it was. I was not a big fan of this archetype before Makkari came out, and I am a fan of this archetype with Makkari in it. This archetype feels sort of built towards being what Makkari is good at, which is to say, it is a deck that is looking to set up a Sandman Leader end of game, and all you need to do in order to be the person who wins when that happens is be ahead enough of the time. Makkari is a card that we otherwise would not be able to put onto the board. This is a deck that plays 1 card per turn pretty much every single time. We play a 1 if we're lucky enough, a 2 if we're lucky enough, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. So we're never really able to do anything involving getting all the cards that we draw out of our hand. In other words, this is a perfect fit for Makkari on multiple levels. She wants to go in a deck that does not play all of its cards so that her downside is a little bit mitigated. She wants to go in a deck that really cares about being ahead, and that is what this deck is doing. And when you have both of those combined, she is actually a very worthwhile addition to this archetype specifically. We'll talk a little bit at the end about whether or not she ends up being a worthwhile purchase. I do expect the answer to that to still be no, unless this archetype ends up hitting Profex Cannonball status, which I would consider fairly unlikely. However, with the amount of pessimism going around about Makkari, people saying she should have been Series 4, she's absolutely terrible, I will say, if you are someone who bought her and then was like, oh man, I bought a terrible card, you can play this, and it's honestly pretty damn good. Nebula is my 1-drop of choice. There really isn't another 1-drop that compares to her in a deck that is really just playing 1 card per turn. 1-drops that compare to Nebula in general typically are things like the Hood in terms of points, or Kitty Pryde. You can't really play those in a deck that really just wants to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's not really an option that you have in a realistic world. And so because of that, Nebula is just far and away the best possible 1-drop for a deck like this, to a degree that I genuinely do not know what I would possibly replace her with, because she is so clearly the only 1-drop that goes with a strategy that operates the way this one does. White Widow is not a required card. I think it would be very easy to replace this with something like Lizard, or even another more interactive card, Iceman, Spider-Ham, something like that. To me, I wanted just the best possible 2-drop that I could have. The comparison between her and Lizard is a little bit interesting. I tend to think she ends up on the positive end of that comparison way more often than not, just because of her random ability to win games. The fact that clogging up lanes can actually matter. The downside here, and this is debatably downside or upside, is that you are going to be giving up your ability to Red Guardian anything in the lane you White Widow. So if you White Widow a lane, they Angela it, suddenly you are no longer able to Red Guardian that Angela. That is an actual risk. Debatably upside, debatably downside is that you can actually just hit that Red Guardian onto the Widow's Kiss, and then that will make it so even if they fill that lane up, they still have a rock that has -2 attached to it. That's a non-zero decent play. To me, White Widow is better than Lizard. You should not feel that this deck is gate kept from you if you have to make that replacement by any means. Jeff is by far the best 2-drop in a deck like this because I don't know how many people are aware of this. Jeff can play through Sandman, so some of the time you are actually doing, say, Miss Marvel plus Jeff on the final turn of the game, as opposed to making just a Doctor Doom play or a leader play. In scenarios where that makes sense, it tends to be a little bit more powerful, just a slight amount, but it does matter. Of course, being a 2-drop that moves is critical in a deck like this as well. You will notice a bit of a move sub-theme here, and a lot of that is about setting up situations so that leader can win the game. When we are not necessarily Sandmanning, we can still sort of cultivate our board, put our power wherever we want it to be, and make it so leader is always going to win the game. Being a card that moves definitely helps. Red Guardian is our major interactive tool. It's a very powerful one, but I think what's most important about it is it's very cheap. If this card cost 4 and did the same thing, even with a better body, I think it would be a bit of a harder sell. Being able to cost 3, hit Angela, hit Athena, it turns what is already a pretty good matchup into Kitty Pryde decks into a devastating one. I am generally someone who thinks people snapping Red Guardian onto an Angela is not necessarily the best idea. In a deck like this, it absolutely is. Because you are a Sandman deck, you snap the Red Guardian, they think you snapped the Red Guardian, then you Sandman on 5 and absolutely blow whatever their other plans are out of the water. Turning off an Angela with this card is better in this deck than it is basically anywhere else, because the only way you lose those matchups is when they are able to create sufficiently large Angelas, sufficiently large Thenas. You are going to win basically every other time. All right, so Makkari. Effectively, what we're doing here is saying our lanes tend to be pretty empty anyway. We would like free power, and the only thing that matters in a deck that is looking to set up a Sandman leader endgame is, are we ahead when we do this? And she helps us get ahead. The additional thing that makes this deck a little bit better at mitigating her downsides is we have so many ways to move stuff around. So it's like, okay, she really screwed me over here. I can't get into this Space Throne she ran into, except I can play Jeff into that Space Throne, and then my Miss Marvel can hit that Space Throne, and suddenly we actually have a reasonable amount of points in that Space Throne. And that kind of stuff where we just like have a bunch of ways to mitigate the downsides of this card. Oh no, she went to the same location as my Nocturne. Now I can't Miss Marvel it. It's cool. You can move the Nocturne. A lot of things in this deck seem sort of tailor-made for Makkari to slot in and actually perform. She did perform. Like, I'm not sure this deck is unplayable without her. I doubt it. But I will say that, like, when I look at new cards, I think, what is the best possible space for this card to thrive? And when I thought about Makkari, it was very much like a deck where being ahead is the only thing that matters, a deck where you can mitigate her downsides of going to random locations, which the movers do, and a deck where you're not really looking at card quality per se, or card quantity, so that you're not really like, a Sarah deck that's looking to play every card in your hand. She obviously can't go there. She's a very niche and specific card, but this deck scratches every bit of that itch and is a great fit for her. I do think that in the context of, we're talking about Makkari, we're talking about how the movers are helpful, there are, I would say almost every other card in this deck in Series 5 is a higher priority purchase than Makkari. Nocturne is going to be useful across a wide variety of decks. Makkari probably will not. I get it, it's early, and I probably shouldn't say stuff like that because we need to wait and see. Nocturne is going to be in, I would expect, every deck Makkari's in, and also a bunch of decks Makkari is not in. Much higher priority purchase. To me, I honestly think she might be the very best card in the game. Second to Jeff, maybe. Like, they are very clear for me as just, I'm going to play these in a million different shells throughout the lifespan of the game. Nocturne and Jeff, best buddies forever. Miss Marvel is your small Doctor Doom. She's just very much the largest 4-drop you can possibly play. You get to customize all sorts of stuff with this card. Obviously, most of the time she goes in the middle lane. But generally speaking, you're very good at playing around Miss Marvel because so many of your cards move. You have Vision, you have Jeff, you have Nocturne. You can really make sure that this card is basically always on. The only real scenarios where Makkari is going to screw you up is you have a Red Guardian and she runs to the Red Guardian lane. That's kind of like the only thing where Miss Marvel will accidentally get turned off there. And it's not great, but it's also pretty rare. And so you end up in a scenario to me where this is the best a Miss Marvel deck can be at being a Miss Marvel deck because of the amount of movable power, because of the leader stuff, because of the Sandman stuff, because especially of Doctor Doom. And so the goal here is to set up a lot of power, restrict your opponent's final turn. Miss Marvel and Doctor Doom is like 29 power spread across the board. You can customize with your movers however you like. That's really what we're trying to do here. Captain Marvel is a very solid card. Honestly, I do think that there are better cards in this deck, and I do think like stuff like Nocturne, stuff like Miss Marvel, I think those are better cards, but I've really enjoyed just having her here. The deck does want another 4-drop, and again, this sort of doubles up on our ability to just get out of situations. Fundamentally, what's happening here is this is a good cards mid-range deck with a ton of ability to just be like, oh, you thought I was contesting that lane? No. That's like a Nocturne, a Captain Marvel, and a Vision in that lane. None of those are going to be there at the end of the game, and actually I get to choose where they are. And that's just like a really powerful thing to leverage, and Captain Marvel is the 4-drop version of the effect that we basically have at every other cost slot with Jeff and Nocturne and Vision, so of course we want her. Sandman is quite good in the current context, but really what's happening here is we're using this Sandman to set up leader, and that's kind of the game, is we do something to enable us to get ahead on the board, we play Sandman, as long as we're ahead on the board, leader's probably winning the game. Now, the one thing you're going to really want to keep an eye on is, can my opponent play Jeff plus something else? That's the kind of stuff that beats you. Either they had a really good turn 5 and you're suddenly not ahead on the board anymore, or they can play Jeff plus something else. This kind of deck requires a lot of knowledge of like, what are the actual available things that can happen to me, and how does each of them happening engage with my final play? What are the ways people are going to attempt to play around my leader, and how am I going to set up a situation where I have a permanent lock? Sandman is one way of setting up a situation like that. All of your movers is another. You're really looking for a guaranteed win out of a deck like this. I'm a big fan of Vision as a leader setup man. I think a lot of the times when Sandman is going to be better, it's very clear. And when Vision is going to be better, it's not as clear. But if you don't draw Sandman, I can't think of a 5-drop I'd rather be playing in my leader deck than Vision. Because we've talked so much about the movability, the switchability, all of the things that make this deck powerful all help you set up end game board states where it is actually impossible for your opponent to beat a leader. And if you can set up those board states, you will win a lot of games. Vision is very helpful at doing that in games where you don't draw Sandman. I'm on a heater. I'm about to take you to class. Leader is a card that is, I think, fairly reasonably, not necessarily easy to play around, but exploitable in some awkward ways where you are very often counting on him to win you the game. You are building your whole deck. You are setting up every piece of your board in order to facilitate this card winning you the game. There are a couple things you should probably know. Priority is quite important to having leader, and a lot of the time you're going to have priority. So if you have priority, one way your opponent can really get you that is fairly common in the current metagame is they will play a Sage or a Gilgamesh or something alongside maybe a Jeff. I think the Sage Jeff one's going to be the one that comes up a lot, but also, Iron Man Jeff, which is shockingly possible thanks to Ravonna Renslayer, thanks to Hope Summers. This kind of stuff will come up where the actual threat is going to have less power than the Jeff. And that's something that's really going to matter. Because you might be like, oh, Sage, that's actually like 20 power. I'm going to get that. It's fine. Leader only sees the 0. And so when Leader sees the 0, you get the Jeff instead. And being able, like, again, this sort of comes back to Jeff's ability to play through Sandman, but you're going to be in situations without Sandman where you're relying on Leader as well. And you need to be really cognizant of these ways that people have to play around the ability that this card has. Dr. Doom is Dr. Doom. He's very good at going wide on the board and being good with Miss Marvel, and he's a 6/15. And that's just exactly what this deck is trying to do. Between Doom and the movers, we have like 5 different ways to get into locations that we're not supposed to be in. It's almost to the point that I think when one of those locations like Sanctum Sanctorum comes up, we might just be supposed to 100% snap all the time. Like, we have not only 5 ways of getting into that location, but also we have White Widow, which increases in value in those games where locations are at a premium. And we just have an astonishing array of ability to pick and choose what lanes to target. And our opponents just end up in situations that are very difficult for them to win. That, I think, is a key benefit of having this sort of like Doom move package in a deck like this. All right, y'all. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope you enjoy the gameplay. I'm not going to be selecting with a bias towards Makkari, but I will make sure to get a couple clips of her on the front end. I think the interesting thing for me is this deck good as a deck with or without Makkari, or is she a compelling and important part of this deck? But I think that in itself reveals a little bit about your priorities should be with Makkari. She is a far lower priority than staples like Nocturne or Jeff. I would argue she's a lower priority than Red Guardian. I am sort of the opinion that she kind of just goes here. That's my current preliminary opinion. So I would advise holding off, seeing if I'm wrong. Maybe it turns out she goes in a lot of other stuff. Maybe this deck ends up being like the Cannonball Prophex of the format and you feel stupid for not getting Makkari. I'm not really sure. What I will say is if this deck becomes sufficiently popular, she is excellent in mirrors, of course, where both of your goals are the same. And Vision is excellent in mirrors. Not a lot of people are running that right now, but if your opponent plays Sandman and you play Vision, you just end up in a drastically far ahead situation. Now, buy Makkari or no, my instinct right now is it is not worth purchasing. I think she is going to end up having competition that is better coming in the future or having come in the past. My advice always is wait at least for weekend missions to see if other people manage to sort of break the meta. I do think she's very good in this deck. I don't think that this deck is a compelling enough reason to buy her just yet. I did say the same thing about Cannonball. I also think that on balance, it is the correct thing to say about Makkari. So keep an eye on her. However, Nocturne is always going to be a better purchase if you're doing it with tokens. And if you're doing it with the caches, I think what would define this week for me is a necessity for Gladiator and X-23. I think this is a good week to open if you really need those cards, perhaps. But other than that, I would very much advise holding off until we have more information. As always, I've been Cam Best. You've been phenomenal. I'll see you in the next one. I think there. Oh, God. I think I'm into here's -8. Enjoy it. Noted. Fascinating. Fascinating. Okay. So, how are we handling this? I want to stay in this game. Guild? I suspect that it is. Actually, hold on. We could blow up this Cancun. Tiebreaker win by 1. She saved us. She saved everything about that was horseshit. Makkari diff. Oh my god. We could have lost if they had our leader from Bugle. It wouldn't have been enough to make up the Sandman diff. Oh god. Alright, it's time for Makkari to commit ritual suicide. Salute! Yup! Flamed, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Huh. It sure is unpleasant. Yeah, even if you fill that up, it sucks. Boy, I hope they don't play the card they build their deck around. Captain Marvel kind of always does win Rickety Bridge. But, not if they Loki me. And then have a Captain Marvel. Because if that happens, I'm just dead as hell. That's not Loki. I think I gotta abandon the middle. I think it's just gotta be this. Because if I put it in the middle, we go to a tie break if their biggest card is in the middle, right? If their biggest card is not in the middle, I guess I just win, right? If I go like this... Yeah, no, I think I gotta do it like this. I think it's gotta be this. They just gave me that. Okay, we win the tiebreaker. Cool. Leader mechanics on display there, by the way. If we didn't have priority, we would have gotten the 8 and won that lane. Yeah, fucking 5 seasons of that, dog. Fuck. Supposed to be 5 seasons of that shit, dog. That, was not true. There were, in fact, 15, yes. It's supposed to be 5, though. Supernatural was so bad it was good. I enjoyed Supernatural. Do we think she's gonna fuck me here? Oh, God. Can we win if that is not the thing that happened? All right. Why do I have 0 channel points? Oh, you have 0 channel points because that's not actually channel points. They put a bunch of bit rewards on there. Captain Marvel saving my fucking bacon, dude. Captain Marvel saving my bacon, dude. Oh my God. Make, like, a leader thing happen. Ugh, Dr. Doom. Gross. Whoa. Hold on. You're telling me we're getting this 3-4 for 0? Why is she... Does the typeface look weird to anyone else? No? It's a little weird to me. Oh, wonderful. Are we supposed to... Sure. Wait. Hold on. I need to actually think. So if I do this, next turn I play a Doom 3 here. 3 here. And a Leader here. Will I have room if I play this card? So if I Doom here next turn. I won't be able to because of the vision, right? I'm not gonna. Scary. Now, their stuff always gets pulled here, which maybe puts me in a good spot. Can't tell. I don't know if I want to snap. They got a lot of stuff. And I don't have a Sandman to stop it. And they're going to play like 80 cards on the final turn of the game. And Leader's actually particularly bad about that. Boy. Yeah, Dagger Sage about to drop for sure. Am I just dead to that? I feel like I am. Does Marvel mid win? I doubt it. Five, 5-2-0. So Sage is small. Kill Iron Fist. Doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Oh, right. I have a Red Guardian. It's a 50-50 on the Iron Man, though. God. This does pump the right. All right, let's do it. I'll take a 50-50. It pumps the right and the left, too. I don't know why they didn't go middle. Fuck! Eight, 8-4. It all worked out, chat. Would all of our plays have beaten that? I guess. No Surfer, shit raft. We got a lot of lucky things happening then in order to make that happen. I feel like they could have done something with basically every card that you're talking about. Hell yeah, brother. Let's go. We got a Hawkeye. If Makkari was a 3-5, wouldn't she kind of be busted? I kind of feel like she'd be a little busted. Rhino the district decks to get your deck back. Holy shit. Alright, there has to be like some sort of leader play we can set up by visioning on 5, right? Oh my god, that's so many cards. Whoa! That's a lot of good things happening for our opponent. They have 2 cards in hand. We are abandoning the fuck out of that one. Okay. So how's this go down? Like this? Six. Yes! Let's go, leader. You're my boy, leader. You're my boy, leader! This is why we play Vision instead of Legion. I guess Legion would have been kind of sicko there for Collapse Spine, but probably wouldn't have worked. There are some streamers, like, they get sick. But I was sick, like, right before stream, and I'm still sort of working my way out of that. So having a deck that I don't have to think very hard about, very good for me. Or replace Makkari with Wasp, how much worse is the deck? I would say, like, reasonably worse. I'm gonna blow up the Oscorp with this random Scarlet Witch that I got gifted for some reason. Very respected gentleman's deck like Phoenix Force. Wow. Is this a snap? I don't think so. See, now I know it's not. Now, both of our nebulas are growing for forever now. So if they just, like, play a Spectrum, am I dead? Add 6 over there. It's definitely a problem. I forgot I had priority, but this is fine. I mathed it out. It's not Miss Marvel mid, it was Captain Marvel mid. The reason I did Captain Marvel mid was because of the potential for it to go to the left if they... maybe I didn't need to do any of that. I don't know. The point was the vision thing was right. You guys were right about that. That's what I was doing anyway. Hey, me too. Safety Blade is not a sniper, to the best of my knowledge. So Makkari OP. Boy, I don't know about that. We are attempting the leader strat. Somehow they have priority here, so even if they Gilgamesh, we get their Gilgamesh. We get this Gilgamesh with all of its buffs attendant. Hello. Hello. I don't know. I think it was really all on that Daredevil, honestly. That was a great Daredevil. A great Daredevil. I know this is stupid, but I want to actually have a target for the Red Guardian. I realize it's dumb. But in a world where I need that Red Guardian, I really need it. And making sure Makkari goes middle is probably worth doing it, because that is the only place we're going to actually want her. Yeah, we got to the Makkari pun at a certain point, yeah. White Widow this one. Oh, wait, no, hold on. We'll White Widow this. Where would you play? Yeah, we'll White Widow this one. That way, if they, like, Wong it, they only get one Wong proc. If they Wong somewhere else, we get the Red Guardian proc. Psylocke. Alright, I admit a great amount of confusion here. I just simply don't know what's happening. Solid, dude. Oh, that can't be good. Okay, it somehow was good. Somehow, of all of those things, we got away with the actual thing that won the game. So we don't need to Sandman it, and that was our mistake. We do not need to Sandman. That is where we messed up. That is our failure. I want to snap, but I hate Black Vortex so much that I don't want to snap. I'm gonna snap and feel stupid. They got a 6. I got a 6. Fair enough. Very fair Black Vortex gaming happening here. Am I just supposed to let them get white hot? I kind of think I am. Dude, where's Makkari is funny. Carry on. I appreciate that. Bird. I have it on good authority that it is the word. Because this isn't actually a game of energy, it's a game of board space. That's what this game is actually about. Sure. I love a turn 1 Nebula. I hate that they also love a turn 1 Nebula. Already going over there. Solid. Now. They snap me. I think that's fine. I like my hand a lot. I'm assuming what's happening is they are gonna blow up my Nebula with a Red Guardian. They get my vision. Oh, I really hate that. Oh, I really hate that. Yep. Okay, wait a minute. Do I have Miss Marvel, Doctor Doom? Hardbacks gave it away. Yeah. Do I do Miss Marvel, Doctor Doom, or Miss Marvel, Leader? Oh! I'll Doom. I think they just can't ever stay into the potential of what we do. Yeah. There's not plays, I think. The Nocturne over here. Chuck a Miss Marvel in the middle next turn. Figure some shit out. Wish I knew what my opponent was playing. Holy shit. Alright, so here's the thing. No way. No. No. Absolutely not. Not letting whatever this is occur. Under no circumstances. No. Like, that is a no from me, dog. That is a no from me, dog. Holy shit. That would have been undeniably horrifying if that was an actual thing that was happening. Luckily, it is not an actual thing that is happening. What rank? 39-25. The issue is, if we Leader and they Heimdall, we could lose to Heimdall Brain. Scary thought. Intriguing. Motherfuck. Okay. A lot of things going on here that I don't like. literally what happens here. If they Heimdall on the left lane, wherever they Heimdall, it goes to the left lane. So I'm assuming they will Heimdall left lane, which gives us... Yeah, okay. If I understand my Captain Marvel math correctly, which I did that play that way just to test, but yeah.